0.27.
0.27, yes. 0.27.
Yep, 0.27. So it's 25 minus 20 divided by 18. It becomes a 6 sigma, 6 standard deviation. Okay. So that's how we calculate CP. So we have covered CP now. Okay. So CP has to be greater than 1. Even though if it is equal to 1 or probably very near to 1, I would not make a lot of noise at that point in time, because I would say, yeah, it is currently, so CP is equal to 1 means it is kind of meeting the customer requirement. It is good as per the design, but for the future scenarios, there might be some defect in case of any special cause variation. So I'll not make a lot of noise at that is point in time, but yes, I will be cautious by saying yes, that we need to make a plan in such a way that we need to redesign. Okay, so we have covered CP here. Now let's talk about CPK. So CPK refers to the current performance level at which the process is operating. Okay, so we have to calculate CPK also. So the formula for CPK is the minimum of CPU and CPL. So CPU here is CP for upper specification and CPL is CP for lower specification. So we have to calculate CPU and CPL first, and the minimum of CPU and CPL would be considered as a CPK. So there is a formula for CPU and CPL which you can see on the screen. The formula for CPU is USL minus mean upon 3 standard deviation, and formula for CPL is mean minus LSL upon 3 standard deviation. Okay. So let's say I give you a scenario here. I have, let me give you some data here. So now I have this data. I have the USL as 7, LSL as 3. Okay. Standard. If I want to calculate mean, so I can do that very easily. .9 is my average, and standard deviation I can also calculate.
But here the USL will be around 12 and LSL is 10, right? The data what you have given.
So I have purposefully made it like this to make you aware that what comes value. This is my real numbers. This is my performance.
Yes.
And this is my customer requirement.
Okay.
Yeah. My customer want it to be between 3 and 7. And every time I've got every time there is a defect. Let's see how much CP that I'll be able to calculate. Then I'll change the numbers. Then I'll change the numbers and then see how we can. So can someone calculate CP? Can someone calculate CP, CPU, and CPL? I will share the formula as well.
Right.
So CPU is equal to USL minus mean upon 3 standard deviation, and CPL is equal to mean minus LSL. So we want to calculate CPK. I'll just stop sharing so that I can also do it, and then let's calibrate the results.
Yeah, so the CPK is 1.3.
Sorry, what is 1.3?
CPK.
CPK is 1.3.
It will depend on the values that have been chosen. Like I did the land between, and it will have different values than yours. So.
Can someone share his or her screen with me so that we all can look what we have done?
I have not mentioned step by step, but I've done a direct calculation.
No worries.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So these are the random values that I have taken between 10 and 12. So the upper specification limit is 7 and lower specification limit is 3 as stated. Then I calculated the average and the standard deviation. And then
Average
for,
was given already, so the value was not 11.4. I think it was something different.
okay, no,
What
no,
happened
that
is he took the random value formula.
I
Oh,
took
okay, okay. This is just a
And
sample.
one will take, yeah, it would be varying, right?
it would be
Okay.
different.
Similarly,
for
I
me.
did so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for CP, I took USL minus LSL and divided it by 6 times the standard
Standard
deviation. Then for the CP upper, I have taken USL minus average divided by 3 times the standard deviation. And for CPL, it would be average minus LSL divided by 3 times standard deviation. And for CPK, I have taken the minimum of these two.
Absolutely. So minimum of CPU and CPL, which is -2, which is your CPK, and um, so the standard for CPK is at least it has to be greater than 1. If CPK is less than 1, which means there's a very poor performance here. So what is the CP here? So let's look at the situation. This is a very interesting situation. Your process is currently potential is to 0.91, which is very near to 1, which is not very bad by design. Okay, design is good enough, but the performance that I'm giving is really pathetic. It's really very pathetic, and due to that, CPK tells me where my process is currently at. This is vis-a-vis sigma level that I've calculated in the discrete data. Remember that? Here in continuous, I am not calculating sigma level, I'm calculating CPK. So there is one more thing here. We look at CP here, which we were not looking earlier. So CP says it is not that bad. 0.91, if I round off, it would come to very near to 1. Design is good, means potential is good. My process is good enough, but I am performing really poor. Okay, Ashwini, just try to change the USL and LSL here as per your choice, and let's do what we get. Yeah, it is sort of improved. My current performance, I've been delivering between 10, 11, and 12. Okay, my range is 2 here. My standard deviation is 0.72. My CP is very good, is really good by design. It's greater than 1. But my CPK needs to be improved because my customer says it should be between 10 to 15. I'm kind of okay, but the sample size is very low. And that's the reason, I've not been able to, if you take a bigger sample size, because in all the scenarios, you are able to meet the customer requirement. That's why CPK is less. So if you enlarge your sample size, you would see in that case, your CPK would also improve to extent. Okay. I hope everybody understood the difference between CP and CPK. CP tells me the process potential index by design, and CPK tells me what is my process performance index. So potential and performance is a major difference between CP and CPK respectively. Okay.
CPK is further reduced. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because see, even though we are taking it, we are taking a larger sample size, our data is pretty much skewed towards one of the
Lower specific limit.
limits.
Yeah.
So that's why it's happening. That it's much closer to failure on the lower specification limits rather than the upper specification.
So that's what we have learned the process capability by its design and by its performance through CP and CPK.
Simranpreet, I want to ask a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
In this case, we have used a random number generator of Excel. So just ran between number, okay. And if instead of this, keeping the sample size same for 20 data point or something, if we use random number generator and we use normally distributed numbers, in that case, CPK will increase. It will be within limit. Because in random number using those normal distribution, most of the data will be around the mean. So in that case, standard deviation will reduce and this CPK value will improve.
So even if we use a random generator and if we freeze those numbers, okay, then the data value remains the same because we don't know what sort of number it's going to throw. Okay, even if you have taken the 20 sample or a 30 sample, I'm not too sure whether the number it is throwing, it is always near to mean or not. It could
No,
be
in
very
this, in random number generator that function ran between, in that case it will not be normally distributed, but in using the data analysis tool we can generate random numbers which are normally distributed. In that case nearly 60 to 70% of the numbers would be around mean. So
yeah.
in that case CP and CPK would improve.
We have to try that. I can't say it while doing it, because we have just taken an example here for doing rand between, but we will never be doing it because we will always have some data to
Right,
calculate CP and CPK. We have just done it for an example, but if you have ever tried this and wherein you were able to do that, you can probably share it with us offline, and then we can probably take that into consideration. But this is just an example. We would always be doing it for the actual data that we have.
Okay.
Okay.
Simultaneously, sorry, like in CP, as we discussed, like we have some parameters to, look at, like greater than 1, less than 1, or equals 1, and then we go back and see accordingly what needs to be done for the design. For CPK, do we have anything to look at and understand, or what should be, like it is less and it is okay to be, or how? And if we realize that it is less or something, then what needs to be done? Like we go back to see the process steps and see which step can be improved on. How do we go about it?
Nothing to do in that case, really, because we are doing a project to improve that only.
Okay.
CPK tells you the actual performance. Okay, and we already knew that the process performance is not good enough, and that's the reason we're doing a project. Likewise, when we calculate the sigma level, we don't do anything. We just mention what the sigma level is. And similarly, if whatever CPK we calculate, we will just stick to it because we know that there is something which but if it's a negative, if it is less than 1, if it's a negative, then there is a lot of, lot of irregularities and a lot of defects which are there in the process, which you can calculate using your standard deviation also, which you already knew it. But it's just a cross validation to check that how my process is currently performing. So the answer to your question is CPK has to be greater than 1. But even though if it is lesser than 1, I would not do anything special, because this is only telling me what my process is currently performing at. And I am doing a Sigma project to improve that.
So basically it's the health of the process that we are trying to understand.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Great. So we have 2 examples here. You can try it at your home when you are free to calculate CPK here. We have LSL, USL given, we have mean given, we have standard deviation given. So you can do that.
One more question, Simarpreet. As you were saying, if your CPK is less than 1 also, you cannot do anything. But in the manufacturing, if there are some CTQs where it is specified that the CPK should meet 1.33, right?
Yes.
So if your measurement is less than 1, then do you need to go for again gauge RNR?
Gauge RNR is separate from this, because in gauge RNR we are looking at the measurement variation. Likewise, we did an attribute agreement analysis. This is a process variation. So USL and LSL talks about the process variation. MSA gauge RNR is a separate thing. However, just to answer to your question, if your CPK is less than 1, we would be extra cautious that there are a lot of defects, a lot of variation in the process, on which we have to work upon. We would make it as a note of it, but gauge RNR is not the same thing that we're talking about. That is just to check the measurement variation.
So that is not that. See, if I'm measuring a part for the dimensions like length, weight, thickness, and other dimensions, and the length is a CTQ and the width is CTQ. you. And if your CPK is less than 1, then I need to check my appraisers. Do I need to check his reproducibility?
This will not give me an indication that this is a measurement error because I haven't done any sort of calibration yet. This could be a measurement error also. This could be, okay, but I can't say it unless I calculate the MSA for continuous data. Okay, but my first impression will not be measurement error unless and until I calculate the MSA for continuous data. If CPK is lesser than 1, I would be extra cautious by saying that this performance is very, very below from the standard, very, very below from the target that I've taken. Yes, I have to put a lot of extra efforts to resolve this particular problem which I have taken, but this can lead to a measurement error also. But this is, I'll conclude after doing gauge RN, not before that.
Okay. And one more question: is PPK and CPK are the same thing, or it is different?
You said PPK?
Yeah.
Okay, so PPK and CPK, so we have not covered this in the black belt program, although this is something which we talk about in the DFSS or maybe in the master black belt program. But the only difference between CPK and PPK is CPK is used for short term and PPK is used for long term. Okay. And similar, yeah. So similarly, CP and PP has the same difference. CP is for short term and PP is for long term.
Okay. Because I hear from some of the organizations and the PPK and PP numbers. So
yeah.
I have to know whether it is the same or it is a different.
The usage and the applicability is very less in case of a PP that's required for a big design projects. And that's why we do not cover that in the black belt program. It is used for a big design sort of projects wherein we look at the long-term sigma value also. So, but for this, we only restrict to CP and CPK. This tells me a lot about my current process design and current process performance.
Okay. And Simar, can you please open that Excel? I just want one thing to check because I don't.
Yeah, sure.
Can you please put that we have done one more thing right here. USL as 12 and 10. What is the result comes? Can you please check once?
Sorry, which one?
The upper specific limit 10 and here in the right side, right? You have taken n number of so many data, right? That has been not saved, I think, right?
This is CP
and Q columns.
Few columns you added, right? That is not there.
Which columns?
I think he's talking about column Q there where you have mentioned USL and LSL.
Yeah. Column Q where we have calculated everything.
Okay, so this is, I have calculated Q5. I have calculated six standard deviation here. Okay. I have not done it because I think somebody was sharing his screen. So somebody.
That was somebody's screen, right? Yeah. Can the same screen I required? Who is sharing the screen?
Yeah, that was.
I think Ashwini have done it.
Ashwini, can you please open that?
Yeah. Just give me a second.
I'm not doing any Excel. So.
So I'm just moving to the next. Ashwini, you can share it. You can share it via email.
Ashwini, can you please put that USL as 12 and LSL as 10?
Yeah, just a minute. I was doing the.
So Simar, while they are doing a calculation, just a question. We're talking about process capability. A couple of times you mentioned about process stability as well. So ideally, these are two different concepts, right? The capability that we're calculating here and the stability that we would calculate. Stability, I believe, would require your quartiles as well.
So stability is to be done using the run chart, which we will cover in the analyze phase. And quartiles is to be done using the box plot, wherein we see which of the buckets has an outlier. So we have covered the process capability. We will cover the process stability as well in the analyze phase. So that is not to do anything with the quartiles. That
Yeah,
is to do
yeah.
with the
The
run
only
chart.
reason I was a bit confused because a couple of times you mentioned about process capability and process stability as well, or
So
might be I overheard that.
I talked about process capability only.
All right,
No
then.
worries, no worries, no worries.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. So what's like? This is the screen.
So I would recommend, guys, we have some time limit. Okay, so that's why I have given you certain exercises which is there in the presentation.
Okay.
We can do it later because we have to cover a lot in the analyze phase. So Ashwini, you can share this Excel file with all of us on the same distribution list. I will also share the ones which I have done, and from that we can take. And we will have time next week also to do certain exercises. In the presentation itself that I am sharing, have certain examples, okay, which you can do. So CPK is there, sorry, USL is there, LSL is there. You can try that as well. Okay. So now, since we have covered the process capability for continuous data as well, now the last thing which is left in the measure phase is the measurement system analysis for continuous data. Okay, so we did the attribute agreement analysis, that for the discrete data.